Okay, so in this video, we will be solving sine equations. So these are pretty similar to solving equations. We want to solve for what x can be. So first things first, you of course want to get sine 10 of x by itself. So you're going to add 10 to the other side. And then you're going, so we're adding 10 to the other side. And then we're going to divide by 20. So 20 cancels out. This simplifies to divide by 5, 3/4. And so you have sine and x equals 3/4. So now, and they put it as a decimal, 0.75. So now they said, find all the values. And by the way, if you're ever confused on a problem, don't know why you got it wrong, you can push get help, enter in an answer, any answer, push get help, they'll walk you through the steps. So find all values of 10x between negative pi to pi. So now we need to get this out of this form pretty much. So we do the inverse function of sine, which is 0.75. We're going to plug that into our calculator. And it's going to get you 0.848, which is about 0.85. So let's see, the sine, Khan Academy usually gives you a calculator. Here it is. Perfect. So you can see here, you enter it into your calculator. And it will give you, hold on. Oh, I pushed the wrong one. It should be this one. 0.75. I believe they wanted the answer to be in radians, so put it in radians. There we go. 0.848. So make sure your calculator is in radians. It even says your answer should be in radians. If it says degrees, then you can use degrees, but it said radians. And so now they wanted you to find from pi and negative pi, which is why you're going to do pi minus 0.85 and you get 2.2294. So now we have 10x is equal to 0.848 plus n times 2 pi. So this means like the number of times. Remember, the number of times something goes around the circle, it'll land in the same spot, right? You have a circle and say the angle's here. You go around 2 pi, it'll land in the same spot. Go around 2 pi, it'll land in the same spot. So n is for the number of times, and then the times 2 pi. That's why you have that there. All right, so now we got the 0.085 and we got the 0.229. So it would be this and this. So remember, when we did the inverse function, we got 0.085. And when we did pi, so you can even put this in your calculator actually, pi minus 0.85, 0.085, you would get, I think I plugged it in wrong. Pi minus 0.85. Here we go. You get the 2.294, 2.29. Why am I getting a different answer? I think because they actually entered in the exact decimal that we had got. Let's see. Pi minus the inverse function of 0.75. 2.294. Yeah, that's how they got the 2.29. So this is more of an exact answer. You can see here. And so now, since we had the 10x, if we divided this by 10, let me go back. If we divided this by 10, we would get, if it pretty much moves the decimal place over, right? So that's why the decimal place is moved over here. Because remember, we had the 10 of x. We had, the inverse of sine is equal to 10x. And so if we divide that by 10, it's going to move the decimal place over. If we divided our other answer by 10, it's going to move the decimal place over. And so that's our answer for this one. So we had 2 pi, right? We had plus n times 2 pi. But if you divide that also by 10, you can see here they're dividing everything by 10. That's also going to get you pi over 5, which is how they also got the pi over 5. All right, so let's look at another one. So this should also be in radians. Same thing, we need a -1 to the other side and then divide by -4. And we're going to be left with cosine 5x equals, when I -1 to the other side, I'll get 0. And then when I divide by -4, I'll also still have 0. And so if we did the inverse function of sine 0, we would get 1.57. If you divided that by 5, you would get this here. They want our answer in radians. So if you think about it, where on the unit circle is cosine 0, right? So you must know the unit circle very well. So remember, you are in pre-calculus now. You should know how to do trigonometry from algebra 2. You should be familiar with the unit circle. So feel free to do the review section before you do a lot of this stuff, which I've shown you before. If you go to get ready for pre-calculus section, it goes over all the stuff you should already know, and that includes the unit circle. So we are doing this here. It goes over unit circle and stuff like that. It also goes over some other stuff you should know. So where on the unit circle is cosine 0? It's at pi over 2, right? So when is x 0? At pi over 2 and at 2, I forget what that is. Is it 2 pi over 5? You can feel free to look at a unit circle if you need to. Let's look at the unit circle. So yeah, at 3 pi over 2. So that's where x is 0, at pi over 2 and at 3 pi over 2. Okay, so let's go to the calculator. Okay, so if I divided pi, oh, I'm in, it should be in radians again. Maybe that's why I was getting such a weird decimal. Maybe not. Okay, so pi over 2. Let me clear this. Pi over 2. How do I make a fraction? This is not the greatest calculator. It's best to actually have a calculator that will do this for you. I don't think this is the greatest calculator. You know what? I'm going to use my actual calculator. I'm not a fan of that calculator. So if I do pi over 2 divided by 5, I would get pi over 10. And so if I had, pi over 2 times or plus n times 2 pi, and I divided all this by 5. Pi over 2 divided by 5 is pi over 10. And 2 pi divided by 5 is just 2 pi over 5. So you can see it matches up with this answer here. And so at the unit circle, 3 pi over 2 plus n times 2 pi. Divide all of this by 5. Well, 3 pi over 2 divided by 5 gets you 3 pi over 10. And that would also be 2 pi over 5. Let's see, they might have done it a different way. Let's do pi minus pi over 2. Pi minus pi over 2 divided by 5 still gets me pi over 10. Let's see how they got the second part of the answer. Oh, they did the negative. Okay. So let's go back up here. We got pi by itself. We did that, and we know that it's 0 at pi over 2. Oh, because it should be between negative pi and pi. That's why. So we can only look at the first two quadrants, right? And it's at 0 at pi over 2, so that we couldn't use this other one if we're doing between pi and negative pi. So this is 0 to pi or 0 to negative pi. So we can only use the first two quadrants. Know the unit circle if you're confused. And so we got pi over 2. We divided by 5. We got our first answer. Let's see how they got the second answer. Similarly, the second solution gives us the following: negative pi over 2. So you remember, the unit circle, we can go counterclockwise or clockwise. So if we go clockwise, it's a negative pi over 2. And so that's why the answer is just the opposite of this one. So just practice. And like I said, you get something wrong, maybe you're not sure, just select, anything. They'll walk you through the steps. Let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.